Nothing says cutting edge quite like a scimitar. Or you can just slap the words Pro and RGB on a pre-existing product and expect a sharp increase in sales. Coming in at 4.7 inches long, 3 inches wide, 1.7 inches tall, and 147 grams, sporting all of the fancy marketing terms like Pro and RGB zones and 4K OLED tempered glass front, side, and top panels, this is just the mouse for all you cool cats to play with. You have two aesthetic options, one in all black for that stealthy, sleek look, and another with a yellow accent to let everyone know that the scimitar stings like a bee. This mighty mouse floats like a butterfly on 4 large Teflon feet, and you know what they say about big feet. Big wiener, winner! In terms of technical specifications, the mouse is rocking the PixArt 3367 sensor, which is accurate, features 0 acceleration, and can be easily tuned to whatever surface you play on with the Q software. You can adjust the polling rate from 125 to 250 to 500 to 1000 Hz, but if you have it set to anything below that, then you're an enigma to me. The mouse even has memory. There's onboard profile storage supporting a lot of macros and up to 4 lighting effects for when you want to move your rat to another mat. The DPI steps can be adjusted in increments of 1 up to 16,000, which may be a bit overkill, but if you've got a lot of screen real estate like a few ultra-wides or 4K monitors, that's a lot of mouse house. On the right side of the mouse, you'll find a textured grip for your ring and pinky fingers, and the little guy's leash is a 1.8 meter braided cable. 4 RGB zones exist here: the logo, the macro buttons, the scroll wheel, and the headlights. The 5th light is technically also RGB, but it changes color depending on your DPI setting, so you won't get any fancy effects there. On the mouse's bodacious body, you'll find a total of 17 programmable buttons. You have the standard left and right click, which are tactile with commendable travel distance, the scroll wheel middle click, the profile switch button that supports up to 3 individual profiles right behind that, buddied up with the DPI change button, which supports up to 5 adjustment steps, plus a sniper mode. And what mouse really feels at home without a field of macro buttons? On the left side of the device, you'll find the remaining 12 buttons with alternating textures and a guiding line on the 5 to help prevent you from getting lost in said field. Corsair provides you a hex key to unlock the macro button position, giving you about 8mm of adjustment to fit your hand size. With the abundance of buttons in mind, it's no surprise that this mouse is targeted towards MMO and MOBA players. But that sensor is no slacker, so this will operate just fine if you like playing shooters too. While on the topic of buttons, let's listen to this mouse squeak. There are 4 lighting zones adjustable via the Q software, so let's take a look at that. If you want to see a more comprehensive Q2 tutorial, you can check out the card up top, but if you only want the mouse basics, don't you go scampering off anywhere. Starting off with the lights, because I know that's where you're going to go first, click on the plus button here to create a layer. From there you can click on the list of zones to determine which areas this layer should apply to. Your options here are rainbow, color shift between random or 2 alternating colors, color pulse with the same options, a self-explanatory static color, and lighting link, which will synchronize the LEDs in all of your RG Beast Corsair peripherals. Inside of lighting link, you get spiral rainbow, rainbow wave, visor, rain, color shift, color pulse, color wave, and type lighting ripple. Do note the advanced option up top. If this is toggled, you'll lose rainbow, color shift, color pulse, and lighting link, but you will gain gradient and solid, which will allow for some pretty decent customization. In the Actions tab, click the plus button to add a macro. Here you have a bunch of options that are really no different from what you'd see for recording a macro on the keyboard. So for the sake of time, I'd encourage you to check out my Q2 tutorial in the description or in the card. Once you've recorded your macro, you can assign it to a button by clicking one of the icons on or around the mouse. Down to the DPI tab, you've got DPI modes on the side where you can add more by clicking the plus button, get rid of some by clicking the cheese grater, or copy the selected mode by pressing the 2 pieces of sliced bread. You have your 5 DPI steps plus a 6th for sniper mode, which can be set to one of the macro buttons in the Actions tab. Numbers can be dialed in manually. You can adjust the X and Y axes individually, or you can drag the slider if you want to feel like a neurosurgeon. Clicking the color cube and playing with the wheel allows you to change the color of this Iron Man looking part of the mouse for each DPI setting. And lastly, you can disable DPI steps by toggling this little switch at the side. The Performance tab allows you to toggle angle snapping, enhance pointer precision, and adjust lift height and pointer speed. Last tab is Surface Calibration. If you notice your mouse appears to be carrying rabies, you can do this quick little procedure and your issue should be resolved. Speaking of issues, if you have any problems with the Q software, I also have a troubleshooting guide you can look into. If you notice any other problems, that video might be a good place to start. At the time of making this video, the original Scimitar can be found for $65 US on Amazon, while the Pro is available for $80. So I guess it's up to you to decide if the upgraded sensor and the additional 4000 DPI is worth the price. A few things to note: the macro buttons are tactile but do feel softer compared to what you might expect on a mouse. They do require more force to actuate, so you don't accidentally click anything while moving or lifting it. Unless you're jumpy like I am and a horror game turns your hand into a vice grip. I wonder if anybody's thought about putting a jump scare in an adult film. Comparatively speaking, the mouse is a little on the heavier side, so this may or may not jive with your preference. It's no mini mouse either, as the body is a little wider than normal. I'm a palm gripper with what I would describe as a medium-sized hand, and the mouse behaves quite well. I tried using this in a claw grip for a few hours, and while still definitely usable, the side buttons may feel a little more awkward to press, but the profile switch button will be much easier to reach if you like utilizing several profiles for a single application. Coming from the Logitech G502 mouse, the Scimitar Pro doesn't necessarily feel better or worse, just different. I don't notice much difference between the sensors. The RGB zones on the Scimitar are a real treat in addition to the convenience of Q integration and the abundance of macro buttons. The wider mouse body also feels more comfortable to hold, however, I do miss the tilt clicks on the G502 scroll wheel, the thumb rest, and the infinite scrolling feature. Oh, I miss that a lot. On the bright side, you can emulate these with the exception of the thumb rest using the macro keys, so that's kind of a workaround. Not a great one, but it works. I have a relatively short list of cons for this, and that's pretty pleasing. My first issue is with the hex key. I am probably going to lose it. I was supposed to have the hex key available to drop and pretend to lose, and I can't find it. So if there was like a lock button down here instead, that would be pretty lit. Not literally lit, that's the rest of the mouse. This next thing may seem silly, but I can't help but think this mouse will soon carry the plague. I've owned the G502 for many moons, and the rubber texture as well as the glossy surfaces tend to collect all of your finger cooties over time. While most of the glossy surfaces are easy enough to purge, the nooks and crannies not so much, and the textured bits are just a nightmare. As for concluding thoughts, this mouse is a little heavier, a little larger, but if you like curves and a little more junk in the trunk. The macro buttons may feel awkward at first, but if you set them to general things like forward button, backward button, scroll left, scroll right, or any other relatively common functions, I am confident you'll pick it up faster than 16,000 DPI on a 720p screen. So that's all I have to say about that. Like, dislike, comment, subscribe, share, leave me questions if you've got them. If I've convinced you into buying this tiny whittling creature, I have an Amazon affiliate link in the description you can use that'll throw a little bit of cash my way at no additional cost to you. But if for whatever reason you feel I am unworthy, there is also a non-affiliate link a little further down. Thanks for watching, my name is Steven and I am ALittleDIMM. Bye bye. And another with a yellow accent to let this mighty mouse floats like a butterfly, like the U doesn't exist. Butterfly. In terms of technical, God forbid I look dumb on camera again, like I'm not used to that already, then you're an enigma to me. I'm not entirely sure what I just said. And can be easily tuned to whatever surfer you... In terms of technical, we are having some technical difficulties because it's not a technical difficulty, I'm just an idiot. For RGB zones, not for... Did I typo? I didn't typo, I just can't read. So this will operate just fine if you like playing. I don't notice too much difference between the sensor. I do miss the tilt clicks on the that's not a T, that's a G. Those don't even look the same. How did I do that? You can emulate these with the exception of the thumb rest. Did I say that right? Exception? Did I say exception right? I'll find out when I edit. With the exception, oh, that time I definitely said it wrong. While most of the glossy surfaces. Glossy is a cute word. It's not technically a word, but glossy still. Is that the sun? If I have happened to convince you, is that what I said? Because that's wrong.